The good entries were the ones that kind of made an argument for or against what is observed. And the third part was, which was very important to us, which is the part where people wrote about how to solve a problem. Now, a lot of people who wrote had that part sort of missing. So it became a long list of complaints. That all this is wrong about architectural education in India, and see, we are all suffering for that. And so that's true. I mean, we know that there are problems in the system, but what is then? What do you do then as somebody who's affected by it? So what is the optimistic thinking, or how do you project that problem? How do you confront it? How do you deal with it? Right? What are the ideas that come out of that confrontation? So some entries which we had shortlisted. So there is a shortlist of 37 entries, and these 37 entries we felt had some meat in that part, where you're trying to look for a tangible solution. That you are trying to argue out that okay, things are not well, but yeah, these are the ways we think we can fix them. And to us, the purpose of writing is very much sort of packaged into that part. And why do you write about something? You write because, not just because you want to complain or whether you want to raise the issue, but you are also trying now to be a part of that discussion further. So setting up the premise, creating an argument, but also offering some sort of a direction to how you might be able to solve it. And I think a lot of people concluded also very well. They concluded. So I think overall, these 37 entries, we can say that they showed a direction where things can go positively. So a lot of writing architecture submissions were also ended in a very somber, nothing can be done, it's all lost, and what is the point kind of note. So those were we put aside because those, we understand, we can't deal with that. But the jury was especially interested in the people who wrote about how do we fix it, and that was the whole point. That it's not something that's not fixable. It's not an issue that you cannot fix. The only thing is we must sort of know how to go about it.
I guess I have one thing to ask, sir. Always this, when we talk about the design education as such, it's always the person who passed out of the college, the person who's teaching, or the person who's been practicing has been thinking about it. So what is your opinion about students thinking about it? Now, what is the image that will create in the people's mind, the students' mind especially? Because nobody has actually directly taken any concerns from the students as of now. So everything has been done from the outer perspective, but nobody is ready to take a cumulative of what students' perception or what students really want. So what is the actual take on that one? Is it the good point of view that the students should also contribute towards it, or is it better if they are actually kept as a testing thing of whatever has been other people have been doing?
Well, I think you are the affected party. If you don't if you don't confront the system, there is no way the system will fix itself. So I feel as students, no matter what people say, it's good to be confrontational with the system. That is something we are losing out. We are not political enough. We are not getting in the system and questioning it enough. We are not critical of the system that we are. So the only option that we have is to then feel like victims. And one of the observations of the entries is that there's a lot of that feeling that we are all victims of the system. And that is a little upsetting because your numbers add up to something quite big, even in this convention. And you are the affected party. You are paying fees, and you are the recipients of this. education system, and and it's not a small fee from what I know now. It's quite a significant amount of money that institutions take. So they must deliver, and it is not the institutions only which are the part of the problem. There is general complacency on both sides. So they are happy not, I feel, they're largely not doing much because there is no confrontation from your end. So one of the things that really came out in this is that that you do have issues, and largely these issues are similar across. Um, there are issues with internships, there are issues with curriculum, there are issues with quality of conversation in the studio of faculty, there are issues with there are issues with the basic framework of the course structure, um, and there are also problems with the sizes of the batches in some cases. So all this has come from you. We are not saying this. This is what you have written about. Even I think we were discussing. I'll just throw it out to Mahesh a little, because Mahesh also teaches and he's quite involved in pedagogy. So, uh, what do you think about this idea of being confrontational with the system?
I mean, I see two things. I mean, like all the issues that you're talking about. I mean, it's not only in architecture. I mean, there's a crisis of imagination in our day-to-day existence. It reflects in medicine. It reflects in law. You go to any college today, there will be a laundry list of issues that students are facing because they are not able to kind of understand what's going on. Right? So it's not, we are not alone in this. It's not like architecture students have a special thing that you are the one who's subjected to all this agony, right? So you are part of a much larger system, and it's a cultural problem. It's a systemic problem. Having said that, there are two aspects in architecture. One is it's a kind of a generalist degree. Your 5-year program is a generalist degree, but it is also a specialist. Because that's why the COA recognizes you, and you have a number, which means there are certain values and responsibilities that you uphold. Right? Now, that's where what you're saying. I agree to what you're saying. Where the students should have a say. There's a 50%. That you have to have a say, where it is a generalist approach to work. But the other 50% is about that value system, is about that society, is about that certain principle enshrined in our constitution, under which we need to sort of work together, which is that responsibility aspect. Now that I don't think this student really have a choice. You need to kind of go through that, like how ethics is part of every medicine or law or any of these degrees. So it's something very fundamental that you need to kind of work with. So to me, there are these two sides of the same story. So you need to kind of understand it from that perspective. Design education, particularly, I think it's kind of fairly open. I would say. I think the curriculum does not really say. If you really look at the curriculum, it doesn't really specify this is what you should do. It doesn't really prescribe anything actually. It kind of gives you a broad framework of these are the growth patterns of what a student could actually when you are in a first year, second year, third year, what are your cognitive abilities, based on that what you could approach, and at the end when that responsibility is assigned to you, what kind of skills and abilities you need to possess to kind of fulfill that criteria. That's pretty much what is actually there. In fact, it's a minimum requirement.
Yeah, it's pretty open-ended. I think one of the ways of looking at the curriculum is the way your institution has interpreted it, and then is sort of putting it down into the program. Because the council prescriptions are pretty open. So then that's the big question, So this is also very important because we are into a part technical, part abstract discipline. So humanities is as important to us as construction. So that how do you make that entire, how do you create a course that gives you exposure and enough to make those judgments in both. So, but I feel that that the 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 general erosion of values is a greater concern that comes from all this reading. That and that is not just limited to architecture or design. That's all in public life. That there are no we don't have that kind of role models, or we don't see people around doing exceptional things that we can sort of that gives us any confidence to and that's also a bit of a that's also what comes across from a lot of writing this time.
I'm going to connect what you said to what he said. Like the student should also have a stake in it. But that's a great responsibility. Yeah. It's not easy. I mean, even in advanced societies, people are still experimenting, giving the job to the students to decide what they want. Even in advanced societies. So I don't think it's that easy, in a complex, societal structure that we have to kind of give that liberty to students. I don't think we are there yet. But I don't think it is also, you can actually, and to me, that there is an opportunity there. In many schools, they complain they don't have enough faculties. And you structure things. There's nothing wrong. Nobody is stopping you. You structure things. Like you complain about your first year or second year, but when you're fourth year, you forget about it. You don't actually provide solution because each one of you come from a certain specific region, locality, and their strengths. When you graduate from year to year, by the time when you come to fourth year, what are the strengths and weaknesses of your institution. Has anybody tried to kind of restructure that? Have you gone with suggestions that this could be a better way? I don't think so. That's something, because that needs a lot of responsibility. You need to really introspectively look yourself and also look what's happening for you to make that proposal. That's a huge challenge.
Yeah, and that is where this writing thing comes in, because to the ability to form that argument and to the ability to not just to criticize the system, but also to project and to be to offer a solution, to offer a way out from your perspective. It may not be correct, is important. And it may not happen by sort of lot of shouting and banner making and stuff like that. It will happen if those energies are put into some sort of a discipline. And writing, I think, gives you that. It disciplines your mind a bit. It gives you the opportunity to clearly articulate your concerns. And we found that lot of entries had that potential to be really considered as documents that have to be taken seriously if you have to look at education from your side. And that's but it seems that it needs to be practiced more often. And this conversation and education is your conversation, it's not ours. It's not just limited to this trophy. It's, I think, as stakeholders, you are greater stakeholders in that, at least for the time that you are in school, than any of us. Because it may not affect us as much as it will definitely affect you. So that's something to think about. I think overall the problems are the same, but it is the way you are working with that problem is interesting. Some people really went out there, in this one. At least the citations and the special mentions this time, they went out there and they addressed the problem very, very systematically. And they talked about what is wrong, how do we fix it, and what is the process, imagined process, to make that fix. So a good start would be when I don't know if everybody will get to read those entries or they'll be made public. You must read them, the ones that have won, and see how much you can relate to it.